I mean, I feel comfortable with my air pistol, but...
Welcome to Vanlife Goodies. We travel as a family in our VW T5 campervan, sharing our adventures and tips and tricks of van life. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing so you can be notified every time we upload a new video. Welcome everybody to Camper Chats episode 3, and today we're going to discuss wild camping, but not wild camping in a tent, wild camping in a camper van. So we'll call it, for the purposes of this video, wild camping means camping in your camper van, not on a campsite. So, obviously with my Dave again. So first of all, camping on a campsite, the reasons you would camp on a campsite. So number 1 is for social, so you can socialise with other campers. Number 2 would be for safety, to just ensure that you're safe and legalities, and to get a campfire going and just relax around the campfire and have that full camp experience.
And the amenities.
Oh, and the amenities if you don't have a toilet and a shower in your camper van. But if you're a bit ming like us,
like her,
you will you'll just camp. I've got some notes. Oh, I've got to find them again now. Hang on.
Notes.
I've got some notes. So if you Google, are we allowed to wild camp in the UK? This is what you get. So you get, for campervans and motorhomes, wild camping is not permitted across the UK and Ireland. In many parts, it's tolerated, provided a common sense approach is taken and you leave no trace principles are followed. There is always the risk of being moved on, especially if it's considered that you are causing an obstruction. So obviously truck stops, you can stop at truck stops because trucks have to stop for their safety, because they have to stop so many hours as they get tired. And some local authority car parks will let you stop overnight, but they generally will charge a fee. So for the purposes of this conversation, we are talking about pulling in kind of wherever in your camper van and staying the night. So where do you find spots? So put in the comments if there's anywhere that I've missed, but where do you find spots to camp overnight? So predominantly we use Park for Night, which is a free app, and you can pay for the full app, which is I think like £12 a year. I'll put links below to all this. There's also something called Overlander, which I think is more Europe area. And as far as that, I don't know where else. There are certain Facebook groups you can go on called Free Park Ups, and you can get ideas, or you can put on there. If you go onto the Facebook group and then in the search bar at the top, you put the area you're going to, it will bring up any posts that have suggested a free spot in that area.
I'd also imagine that there's some wagon stop apps, for truck drivers.
Yes.
So if you fancy parking up along a load of burly truck drivers, who knows?
No, you're right. That's actually a really good idea. Yeah. And there's also pub stops. There's lots of pub places that will let you stop overnight. In fact, most pubs, if they've got a decent car park, if you say, if I have a few drinks, do you mind if I stay in your car park? We'll be happy for you to stay. Now, you can pay for something called Brit Stops, which is about £30 a year, and you get a book of all different places and an app now, I believe, of all different places that you can stop. In car parks. It's mostly pubs, isn't it? But there is some kind of... Are we keeping you up?
Yes.
There is some, like, like village shops or country kind of delicatessens and stuff that will let you stay. And the idea is that you stay overnight and then you go and buy something from the cafe the next day.
Spend the money you've saved on a campsite.
Which is kind of a rule we always say, don't we? That if we wild camp somewhere, we try and spend what we would, maybe not the amount we would have spent on a campsite, but we try to spend our money
in the local area.
Yeah. So if you think, oh, well, let's get a coffee, rather than thinking, oh no, we'll go back to the camper van and have a coffee, we'll think, well, no, because
or McDonald's.
We stay overnight. Because we've stayed overnight, we'll try and use a local business rather than McDonald's. Who are big business, but we do like McDonald's coffee because it's cheap and it's good. But right, let me have a look. So Oh, right. So one of the problems with wild camping is if we've got a pop top to our T5, as you will know, and we recently, if you've not seen the video, we went to Birmingham to wild camp. I don't think we intended to wild camp. We just parked up and thought, sack it.
We're having a night out.
We paid a clean air zone. Let's go for a night out. Yeah.
Was making the most of the clean air.
We were making the most of the clean air that we had paid for. So we decided to stay overnight, didn't we, in the camper van, which meant we couldn't put the pop top up because we have a camper van that if you have the pop top up, it says we are camping. So we didn't turn our front seat. We just pushed it forward, and we didn't put the blinds in. We just put our blind that goes across the back to create almost like a dividing cab. But it was quite a comfy night, wasn't it? It was a bit warm, wasn't it?
It was actually.
And we couldn't leave the windows open for fear of, someone sticking their head in or trying to rob the van. Yeah.
Rummagins.
But we had a great night in Birmingham.
It was actually. Yeah.
And it was a lot cheaper than going anywhere else, wasn't it? So yeah, so that's the problems with stealth camping, if you like. So that would be stealth camping, that you're camping somewhere that you're really not meant to, so you have to just look like you parked up. But wild camping, we're by a lake now. We are somewhere that is for walkers, maybe would park up here. It's winter. There's no one else here. We're by the lake. We've got the pop top up. We'll be stopping here. It'll be absolutely fine. It's kind of a side road.
Parked right on the lake.
Yeah, we'll show you in the morning. Actually, no, we won't, because that's the video that you're going to see next week. He'll show you where we parked. But what do you think? Is wild camping? Is it right? Is it wrong? There is an argument that we pay our not a council tax. We pay that as well, but we pay our road tax, so we can park anywhere legally. What's the difference between sleeping in your camper van or getting your head down in a car because you're tired?
No difference at all.
There's no difference at all. I suppose.
I think so long as you use your brain and you're not like flaunting it in people's face, like you're not going to camp at the end of somebody's driveway or whatever,
or outside the house. Yeah, that would be rude. So if you're considerate of other people.
Yeah. And like you say, don't get all your deck chairs out and your table and all your gear like you would on a site.
Yeah.
I think, don't take the mick.
Something to think about, safety. So if you're camping on your own or just in a place that doesn't feel right, everything I've read. Everything I've read suggests that if you just feel a bit uneasy, don't stay. Trust your instinct. And then also the other things that suggested, I've got blinds inside my my van that I can remove from the inside, and that all came from once staying at a park for night spot in Southport with, I think I was with Macy. She was a lot younger, and there was a kick-off in the car park where we were parking, and I'd stupidly parked the wrong way, and I had one of those window covers that goes all the way around the outside, and it dawned on me, and I felt really anxious. And I thought, if I wanted to leave now, I couldn't without getting out of the van to remove the windscreen cover, pull the pop top down, and I'd have to reverse. And it kind of reminded me that if you're ever in a place where you feel a bit anxious or you just want to make sure you can make a quick escape, have an escape kind of plan, escape route. Make sure your van's parked the right way to exit. Make sure you've got blinds on the inside that can be pulled out without getting out the van. Make sure your driver's seat is completely clear so that you can just get in it, pull the blinds down and drive off.
And make sure that your air gun is loaded.
Yeah. It's funny, right? Because when I'm with you, I'm not nervous at all. And when I'm with the kids, I'm not nervous at all, which is weird because when I'm on my own, depending where I am, I would feel a bit anxious. I feel like the more you wild camp on your own, the better you would get at it, the more confidence you would build. You don't care, do you? You just like sleep wherever.
Like having a wee. Anywhere.
Right, let me see if there's anything else in my notes. So put in the comments, we'd like to know your comments. Where do you find wild camping spots? Do you think it's right that we do take advantage of that if we're considerate of other people? Do you think it's bang out of order and we should all use campsites?
No.
So one of the arguments is, so I've put here arguments. If I was homeless, I would be sleeping in a tent by the side of the road. What are you going to do? Move me on, find me somewhere to live. Yeah, you could literally, I think ultimately you can kind of do what you want, really, can't you? Because
you can't get any hotels.
Well, who is it for someone else to say, you can't park your car there. If it's a legal parking place, then it's a legal camping place, as long as it's not disturbing other people. So I wouldn't park in lay-bys generally, especially in the countryside, because often they're like turning points and stuff like that.
We did as kids in my dad's Volkswagen camper van, and I can remember every time a vehicle went by, the whole van rocked.
Yeah.
And we slept about 20 minutes of the whole night.
It's also illegal to drive tired, so there's always the argument that you were tired.
Yeah.
And the other thing I've thought of, here's a little hack. If you've got a light that comes on your dash, like I have all the time for me coolant, I always say that if someone pulled up, I'd just say, I'm really sorry, officer, but I had a light come up and I thought I'm going to pull him, we'll stay the night and we'll ring the AA in the morning. So that's a little hack if you want that as a backup plan. I think that's it. We like a campsite if it's a nice quiet campsite.
I don't like the regimented, all laid out. I like somewhere where they say, anywhere in this field, go.
I agree. If you feel like you're in a row, it's like being at home, isn't it? Really. We live in a terraced house, so it's just like being at home, but with plastic next to you instead. I think it's okay if it's a festival, because you're definitely doing that vibe, aren't you? You're there for the entertainment.
And you're always too hammered to know who's next to you anyway.
Yeah, but I think we kind of like... I also like wild camping. So now we've been to Jodrell Bank now, which is next week's video. I shouldn't have told you that. And we're going somewhere else tomorrow, but it's just nice to park near to where you are, so you get to see the local area. So here, where we are now by the lake, we'll probably go for a walk in the morning.
We're actually just around the corner from a good friend of mine.
We are. We've just realised he's just there. So we're going to go
house from here.
Going to go and see him in a bit. So I think you see more when you wild camp, because if you're in a campsite, you set your stall out. When I say store, you kind of get your deck chairs out and your campfire.
Yeah,
and then
empty your van.
you kind of have to pack it all up to then leave, don't you? Whereas if you're wild camping, you tend to keep self-contained, and so you're constantly on the move. So I just feel like it's a different vibe, isn't it?
And you feel a little bit naughty, which is really good.
It is for Dave. Dave is more naughty than me. I always feel a bit like, hope we don't get in trouble. So, yeah. So what do you think? Do you get nervous wild camping? Would you just not do it because of that? And any tips on wild camping that I've not covered? I think that pretty much covers it.
I was going to say, I think there's always that safety in numbers, and the fact that you do feel more comfortable when there's two of you.
Yeah, you do.
I mean, I feel comfortable with my air pistol, but...
If someone knocked on the door and we answered, I mean, anyone would run, wouldn't they? So... Anyway, I think that's it. Tell us your comments below. And I think that's it until next week's video, where you'll see us at Jodrell Bank and somewhere else. So see you then.
Arrivederci.
Bye.